All right. Well, welcome to Light at 5 with Jane and Jody. It is Tuesday, December 14th. I'm sure this is our last episode of the year. So we hope everybody gets to join, participate, ask some fun questions. Today, again, another excellent show we've got lined up for you guys. Two of our current students are going to be sharing with us some of their experience here at SCNM and some of their background to kind of give us an idea of what is the program like depending on the road you've traveled. So without further ado, just a little bit about myself. Number one, I do want to remind you guys, I am recording our session today. I invite you, please, by all means, turn on your cameras, unmute your microphones when you have questions. We definitely love participation from our audience. So feel free. This session is recorded. We will post it later for other candidates and other folks to view and come back. So keep that in mind. Again, my name is Jane. I am one of our admissions representatives here, helping candidates. Once you submit applications, you're working on, you submit transcripts and you're working on that application, I'm here to help you get ready for a successful interview. I pretty much work with candidates whose last names begin with the letters M through Z. And my partner you're going to meet, Jody, and we'll help everybody else A through L. A little bit about me. I have been with SCNM gosh, well, I was here from 2007 until 2013, and then I took a short break, and then I came back in 2019, and this is perfect for me. I love being a part of this admissions team, helping the medicine grow. I'm inspired every day by hearing your stories and what brings this community together. So we're excited to have you today and share some more stories with you. Enough about me.
Awesome. Awesome. So like Jane said, I'm Jody. So I am the other admissions rep, and I work with candidates, last names A through L. So I work with candidates at the beginning of the alphabet, but do exactly the same thing as Jane does, get you guys ready to go through a successful interview and get you accepted. And then it's just the amazing journey from there. A little bit about me. I'm originally from South Bend, Indiana, so moved out here about 20 years ago. Absolutely love Arizona, love the desert, and especially now because our winter is here, if you want to call it, and it's like 70 degrees, so that's our winter. I've been with SCNM in August was 15 years, so I've seen a lot of students come through the program or worked with students from the beginning, like Hannah and Michelle both. I worked with both of them. Absolutely an amazing journey. I absolutely love what I do. I enjoy working with students and watching them go through this program and then become alumni. So that's especially rewarding to Jane and I. So welcome. I hope you guys get lots of information that you can take back with you. But like Jane said, be interactive and let's start throwing out some questions to these students.
Right.
So awesome. So one thing that I do also is I share a core value every segment that we do. And so we have, I believe, 5 core values, and core values, of course, are beliefs of the institution. So today I picked, we are resilient. So, and I put a little blurb in there. So we choose that nothing will stand in our way here at SCNM. Even with the pandemic still lingering around, we continue to offer outstanding education, whether it is online or in person. So that's my core value for the day.
I like it. I like it, Jody. I think that's a great choice. We are resilient. Yeah, right. Nothing's standing in our way. I like the way you worded that. This lingering around.
Lingering, I know.
Rasky little.
It's been a long,
virus.
almost 2 years that Jane and I have been working from home. That's crazy. Crazy.
Oh, how life
Awesome.
changes. Good stuff. No, I like that core value for sure. So guys, let me tell you a little bit about our guests that we have with you today. We have 2 current students, again, as I mentioned earlier, with a little bit of different backgrounds that are going to share with you, not only their background, but their experience here. So the first person I'll introduce is going to be Michelle Durney-Crozier. Cronister. I know I've messed up her last name a few times before. She is on an interesting, please correct the enunciation.
Oh, it's Cronizer, Michelle Durney Cronizer.
Cronizer, okay.
Well, Michelle is considered quarter 5, but she's actually in her 9th quarter. She's on an interesting mixed schedule with extended 2 years through the splitting up her first year. So she'll tell us a little bit more about that. She grew up on the East Coast around Baltimore, it looks like, but has traveled quite a bit, being a part of a military family. So thank you for your service. Has a bachelor's degree in psychology and a minor in gender studies and systems of oppression, with also a master's in counseling and psychology. So I love that. I recognize psychology has been a common foundation of naturopathic doctors. So I think you bring a lot to this community. Fun hobbies outside of SCNM. Before medical school was yoga. Now it's definitely balancing family, school, enjoying traveling and cooking. So thank you for sharing. Would you like to share a little bit more, Michelle?
I think that covered everything.
Lots of good details. Well, it's a great little background to tell us about. Our other guest today, folks, is Hannah Jabor. Hannah's finishing up quarter 9. So I believe she is just starting in her clinical experience. So I'm excited to hear a little bit about that. Hannah is originally from Finland, as a matter of fact. So you might detect a bit of an accent when you meet her. She actually came to SCNM by way of Canada. She also has a master's and a PhD from Finland originally. Optoelectronics. I practiced this before we started this call today. Optoelectronics and measurement techniques and applied electronics. So I'm kind of curious to learn a little bit more about that and how that's going to help with your career too. Hannah's hobbies include hanging out, my favorite thing to do. I love that. Doing things, of course, with family. Sounds like you have a music background, singing and playing piano. So welcome, Hannah. Is there anything else you'd like to share?
Oh, thank you. I think everything else is going to come up in the questions. I saw the question list and it was amazing. So yeah, but if everybody has any questions, feel free to ask. But that's pretty much me. And there's the accent.
Love it. Love it. Well, we're excited to have you both. Yeah, and truly, like, as we go through these questions, any guests that are on the line there, put your questions in the chat if you don't want to speak up or share. Always remember too, if you do turn on your cameras, I take screenshots throughout our conversations. And if I capture your live camera, you'll be entered into a drawing for a fun prize here at SCNM. So feel free to speak up, ask questions, turn on those cameras and participate with us. Jody, why don't you kick us off?
Awesome. So, and you'll find that Jane and I will go back and forth and ask both ladies the same question, but kind of given their feedback as far as, you know, different interests and stuff. But for both of you ladies, I would like to know, tell us a little bit more about how you both got interested in naturopathic medicine.
So I'll go. My sister-in-law is actually a graduate of SCNM. And so I didn't know anything about naturopathic medicine until she started at SCNM in around 2008. Jody actually helped her, of course.
I've helped everybody.
Helped her with her admissions. Yeah, through her journey, I learned a lot about naturopathic medicine. And at the time, I was a counselor. Mental health counselor, and feeling really like there was so much more that I could do for my people. And as I learned more about naturopathic medicine, it really made a lot of sense.
Wow. Awesome. Awesome. Awesome.
Yeah, for me, I've known since I was 14 years old that I want to be a doctor, medical doctor. Why I ended up being an engineer, it's complicated. But then after I have 2 more children. So after my second child, I knew I wanted to change my career and I started to prep for medical school, allopathic medical school, and was ready to go until my younger, actually both children got sick. They have a neurological condition, and trying to get help for them was really complicated. Felt really alone. And I realized that I cannot be one of those doctors who dismissed us and make me feel like I'm crazy. So I found a naturopath in Canada. And since the first appointment, I was like, I want to be like her. This is where I need to go. So my journey started, it's kind of like, it's a blessing, even though it was a biggest tragedy for us at that time. But yeah, I knew I need to be an ND and do what NDs do. And so I'm here because of my kids.
Very good.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Truly, I heard that twice, I think today. I had different conversations, kind of a blessing in disguise, right? It's kind of a bummer that we have to go through these battles and these trials to discover what can make a difference for us and how we can change the world. So thank you for sharing. Curious now, do you feel that an engineering background, has that helped you at all in this portion of your academic journey, your undergrad?
Okay, that's a good question. When I applied, I was terrified because I felt like engineering has nothing to do with medicine, which is kind of true. And I felt like those who have biomedical background probably have way better starting point. But I actually found that being an engineer and having the studies benefited me, especially the first 2 years, because it's science heavy. And I also, during my training and education, I learned to identify what is important. And so my superpower is to really, because you are going to get a lot of information in medical school and it feels like you're going to be drowning. I never felt like I was really drowning because I was able to find the most important things that I need to learn. So it was actually beneficial for me.
Wow. Good to know. Good to know. What about you, Michelle, with a background in psychology? You feel it prepared you?
Thank goodness Hannah and I have been friends since day one, because being a counselor with my background, I'm really good at finding everything, like all the details. And I want to know all the details. And I have a very hard time finding, the most important stuff because I'm digging for everything. I just want to know everything. And I think that's a counselor's mind. So, luckily I had Hannah as a study partner to help me kind of get back on track and only focus on what we really needed to know. So I split the first year in 2 years because I didn't feel, with a bachelor's degree in psychology and a master's degree in psychology, that I had enough of a science background. I really didn't have a science background. So I was busy trying to catch up, I think, with my peers, and splitting that first year into 2 gave me the opportunity to build a more solid foundation in the sciences to help prepare me for the classes that I'm in now. So it was really important. I'm glad that I did it. It takes longer, obviously, but it was really important for me.
That's excellent feedback. I think the key term that you said there was like a catch up. Not having that science foundation, taking your time here helped you get that foundation here. Good to hear. I hear both of you, like how you had each other. That's huge. I don't even know if this is the next question or not, but I want to kind of like, all right, what else did you have? What were some of the key resources without having that science background? What were some of the other things that you turned to that helped you?
So Jill, the learning specialist, has been huge. I feel like we're like this too. She's almost one of my best friends too. I can turn to her for anything if I'm struggling with anything. And she goes above and beyond to help you figure out what your learning style is and what kind of studying is best for you. And if you have any obstacles and how to overcome them. So she's excellent. And then also tutors. I've used tutors the whole way through.
Yeah. And those 2 being Jill, like you said, and the tutor center is probably the biggest resource at SCNM for students. And whether you have a science background or you don't, either one. Yeah, Jill is pretty amazing. She is. Yeah,
I totally second Jill. Again, I guess I'm jumping into, because we're talking about this, I really want to emphasize that if you don't know your learning style yet, you have time to figure it out. Really focus on that, because knowing how you learn, it's going to be like so important. So that was helpful for me, that I knew already what is my study style, but a lot of people are still kind of exploring that when they join SCNM, and we might not have the time. And that's when Jill is phenomenal to help have
Right.
through. For me, having the study buddy is essential. I have to talk it out. I have to ask questions. I want my study buddy to ask questions. I want the challenge. I want to laugh between study sessions because it's tedious. It's a lot of information. Tutors, I second tutors. Any human being, especially now that we are online, is very, very helpful. And then, I guess those are my main points, but I really try to find out and figure out what is your learning style.
Right. And I've heard that your learning style in undergrad may not work in medical school. It may be totally different,
Totally different for me. Totally different.
Oh,
because,
really?
Yeah,
Okay.
because in psychology, you do a lot of reading and a lot of writing, and if you are strong in those areas, then you'll do great. And I did excellent for my bachelor's degree and my master's degree. I was top of my class. But this is completely different. It's just, it's completely, there's so much information, and some of it is high yield and some of it is not. And, ultimately, you have to be really, really good at the high yield stuff, and then also try to learn the stuff that's not in addition. And so you can't just read everything like I did for my bachelor's degree and my master's degree. You have to stick to what's really important.
Wow.
That's great. I love how you said, Hannah helped you focus. Like, nope, don't get too distracted over there. But I like how you got to get to the root cause. No, there's more here. There's more here. Let's get deeper and deeper.
Yeah, it was very funny. We always talk about it's the weeds. Let's not talk about the weeds. So it's really important to really look at the main points, because otherwise there's no time.
It's really too much. It's too much. The volume, the sheer volume.
The volume, and then you just feel overwhelmed.
Yeah. We've already got some great questions. I like this. This is happening. Good engagement. So Larissa is joining us. I think she's in Puerto Rico, or maybe she's Brazil. She's out of the country. But anyhow, we've got a guest. And she stops regarding splitting up of your first year. How did that work? Was that something you decided at the time, or while you were already enrolled, or at the time of your application, Michelle?
So that was something I decided after I was enrolled. Once I was sitting in classes, and Hannah and I fortunately started the program in person before COVID. So that's a different experience, and hopefully we're moving towards that, because that's excellent. The bonding opportunities that you have with being in person are amazing. But anyhow, sitting in class and feeling like I was drinking from a fire hose, and it was just too much, because I just knew I didn't have the stuff, the basics that I needed in order to keep up with the pace. And so I decided, I forget how many weeks in, that I needed to split the first year. And so what that looks like, I think, or how did that work? So the way that works is the school already has a program set up. So the school decides for you what classes you take in the first half of the first year classes. And then, the second year, you just move into automatically the rest of the first year classes. And you then, in what would traditionally be quarter 5, you just move into full time. And I have to say too, that the way the second year of those first year classes is designed is you slowly start to ramp up in the number of classes that you're taking, so that you can ease a little bit, so that the transition is a little easier into becoming a full-time student. Were there any other
credit
questions?
load? You're referring kind of credit load. So you start out with 16, then you gradually grow. Keep going.
Each quarter through that second half of the first year classes had more credit hours, so that I was learning more and more how to manage the load and life and family and all of that.
Right. So just that slower track. So which makes sense.
But it's just, I was worried that it would be like, jumping into the bathwater without any prep if I went from, half the load to full load, but the way it's designed is you kind of work your way up to it. So it's kind of nice.
Interesting.
Mhm.
Awesome. So we have a question from Jessica. How much time do you both dedicate to studying each week?
Do you want the truth?
Yeah.
It's a lot, but I have to say, I have to give you a warning. First of all, I absolutely love what I do right now, so it's very exciting, but it's also a lot. So the requirements are quite a bit. And I'm A-type, so there's that. I study, if I'm truly honest, like probably 9 to 10 hours a day. And then I know it's a lot, but I do have 2 children, so they force me to kind of take breaks, and most of the time I'm alone with them, so that kind of balances it out. But yeah, it's a lot before exams. Obviously, it's a lot. We are in the middle of finals week right now, so we study pretty much all day long. But it doesn't have to be that way. And then if you split always the quarter, you're gonna have a less study time. But I guess it depends on also like what your goals are. But I just love what I do, so I find myself studying quite a bit.
Yeah, I have to agree. I spend a good portion of time outside of my classes studying, because I wouldn't make it otherwise. It's a lot of material and it takes a lot of attention and a lot of your time. It's not the same as even grad school for your master's degree. It is way more demanding. And so it's definitely something that you have to take into consideration when you're thinking about medical school, is how much time are you able to and willing to give to doing this.
You have to love it. You have to love
Yes.
what you're doing and what you're going to do.
You have to be very focused on what you want to do. I too, like Hannah, I didn't even share this part, but I've known since I was 5 that I wanted to be a doctor as well. So, I'm honestly fulfilling a lifelong dream. And that's what, when you have moments when you're like, no, I can't do this anymore. And then, you remember that and it pushes you.
Yeah, they ask you to identify what is your why. Why do you want to be a doctor? And that is every day. Luckily, they are in front of me every day while I'm doing this. But you got to love this. You need to want this. Like being a naturopathic doctor is a calling, truly. We don't do this because there's a lot of money, for sure. We want this. So it doesn't feel, it might sound awful, like I can't study 10 hours. It doesn't feel like studying or work that much, because we love what we do. And then when you have a study partner and you have other people around you, it's much easier. So it might sound awful, but it actually is not that bad if you truly love what you do. Obviously, there are courses that we hate and we have to do, and it's like drinking, I don't know, tar, but we do it.
Wow.
Drinking tar. Yikes. Can't wait for that.
That's just saying in Finnish. I don't even know if you guys say that in English, but yeah, like if something is really hard, it's like drinking tar.
No, it's a good analogy. I think it fits.
Yeah, it's similar to that drinking from the fire hose, right?
Yeah.
It's either a lot or it just tastes awful. All right, we'll use it.
Yeah, exactly.
Good. And yet another great question here. So what skills do you two find are the most essential to a student's success?
Being able to, I think you have to be really solid in what you want to do and why you're here, because there are moments where you will question why you're doing this and how you could be doing this to yourself, and whether or not you're cut out for it. And if you're really solid in what you want to do, why you're here, what your goal is, if this is your dream, then it pushes you through those hard moments.
Yeah, for the skills for student success, being organized is extremely helpful. being one step ahead. So I tend to do all the assignments as soon as they're available so that I don't have the last minute panic. Oh, there's assignment due in an hour and I haven't even started it. Having boundaries. So I will never give up on my sleep. I love sleeping and I feel like our brain really needs it. So definitely have the balance, even though I'm horrible at balancing my life right now. We are all struggling and every quarter we try better, like self-care and stuff, but being really organized and on top of things, I think it's super helpful. And I already mentioned that really focusing on, like, they're going to tell you studying smarter and not harder. It's so important. So yeah, I think those are my most tips that I want to give about success.
Yeah, I want to add to that too, that regardless of what your background is, what your degree was in, some of those soft skills really apply to that you get from going to college, apply to this. Like if you learned during your undergrad years, or if you have a master's degree or whatever, to, you know, keep a calendar and stuff like that, that you need that times 10 while you're in this program.
Interesting.
Time management. I've heard that over and over and over.
Yeah,
That you just
yeah.
touched on a calendar. Yeah. Organized.
Yeah.
Good feedback, ladies. Sorry, Jody.
So no. I'm just interested from both of you. Michelle, remind me, do you have kids?
Yes, I do.
You do. So let's talk about balance. You know, I mean, we hear that, I mean, you guys both have children. You know, I'm sure that you're not constantly studying to where you can take them to the park or maybe take them to the movie. Tell me about balance. How do you prepare balance, or how do you do balance being in medical school?
Fortunately for me, Hannah's situation is a little bit different, a little more challenging in some ways. Fortunately for me, I have a husband at home, you know, most of the time, and he's, you know, he's an equal partner. So, and right now he's actually stepped up and he's doing more than I am. So I have that, I have him to lean on. And then also I'm an early riser, so I'll get things done, you know, really super early in the morning before anyone else is up. And
wow, you and me are right there together.
That helps me a lot.
Right.
Because that time is quiet and there are no distractions. So that really helps. And then just the boundaries, I think Hannah mentioned before, you know, letting my family know, and communication is huge, like letting them know I'm not going to be available this week. You guys are all going to have to pitch in more and do your thing because it's finals and I have to prepare, and then I have to take my final exam. So it's time to step up, guys.
Good for you. Good for you.
Yeah, my situation is a little bit chaotic. So I have an 8-year-old and 10-year-old at home. My husband works in Canada, so he just came back home. We haven't seen him in 3.5 months. So majority of the time I run the show solo, which is hard. But like, I guess because having them, my day is kind of cut into sections, getting ready in the morning, and then my day starts when they're at school. But then I get a break when I pick them up and have dinner for them. And we have made like agreements, and I have made myself to do that I have to also just step aside and focus on them. And so go to the park, but we make deals. It's like, okay, give mama like 2 hours and then we go to the park for half an hour for an hour.
Awesome.
It's just important. Like you have to just get that time and force yourself to take breaks, even if because the study and the work will never end. And at some point you have to say, okay, I'm done. My brain can't take it anymore. My body can't take it anymore. We are done.
Right.
So just be strict about the boundaries and just have breaks between, even if you have to study after. It's doable for sure, but I wish I had equal partner at home.
Right. Well, I can't imagine how tough it would be, you know, being solo and kids are going to school and kids are learning online just like mom is. And I would think that would just
that was
hectic
horrendous. That day when we all went online, And then we're like, that's the internet hold.
Ah,
Or the kids don't know how to turn on their computers because they're tiny still.
Right, right.
So yeah, it's been definitely interesting.
Kudos to you,
That
guys.
was interesting times in my house too, because I have a teenager in high school and he was really not interested in online school.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
Wow.
everyone had to transition there suddenly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
All right, we still got some great questions coming. So I see, Michelle, you actually responded to one there. We had a question in the chat. What type of business professionals did you secure for your application references? Michelle, if you want to share a little bit more about how you chose those, and then Hannah, I would love to hear your response as well.
Yeah, so I simply went back to old supervisors, and one of them was a supervisor while I did my internship for my master's degree. So, he could attest to what kind of student I was. It was a long time ago, but he was still very happy to write a reference letter for me. And then I went to one of my old office managers where I worked as a counselor, and she gave a great reference, with regard to my dedication and reliability and drive and all of that stuff. So I think that's all I got letters from. I don't remember now. It's been a few years. And then Charles asked about what are some things you wish you knew before starting medical school. For me, I can say specifically, like I took all the prerequisites that were required. I took chemistry, organic chemistry, I forget what else, but I didn't take anatomy and physiology. And I strongly recommend that you take an anatomy and physiology class before you start at SCNM.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Good.
For the reference from past supervisors, for me, I honestly don't even remember what I put in my application, but probably like Michelle, old supervisor. I remember talking to a school principal where I volunteered as a math tutor. I think I asked her to write a letter. I might have asked our previous ND to write a letter that I work closely with. So yeah, anybody, I guess, in your life that knows you professionally, not just like personally. And then what are the things that I wish I knew before starting medical school? That's a hard one. I have to think about that. Yeah, I have to sit on it. I'm not sure right now.
We'll let that
Okay.
one simmer for a minute there. Let's go back for a sec, because that question that came up about the letters of recommendation, let's talk for a second about prerequisites. Thank you, Michelle, for mentioning how important anatomy and physiology would have, definitely made a difference for you. So yeah, we did have that noted. Like, Hannah, I'm curious, did you have to go back and you had to also, right? Your engineering degree didn't have those human sciences.
Yeah, so I have PhD in engineering, but because it's from Europe, nothing counts. So I had to do everything.
Yeah.
So it took me a couple of years to do that. I did it slowly, and I had my small children. I totally second Michelle. So I had some extra time. I applied in April 2019, and I started October 2019 or September. I had 6 months. I was already accepted in, and I had 6 months. I'm like, what should I do? So I actually did and go and take courses in anatomy and physiology. And that was so helpful because my starting point was very different than Michelle's. Those were the first time she saw all those names and structures, and I had it wasn't the same because it was anatomy and physiology for nurses, but it still was better than nothing. So definitely highly recommend that, even if it's not required. If you guys have time, do it. Maybe also more biochemistry. That is science heavy the first year. A lot of people struggle with that. So
yeah, I was going to add biochem. I actually went to Bastyr University and did their post-bac program there. And they have the biochem and organic chemistry, and they have all the classes, lined up for you. But honestly, once I started biochem, which was in my second year, like the second half of the first year, I didn't feel like, I still didn't feel like I was prepared enough. So I would recommend taking like a full year to take anatomy and physiology and biochem, and make sure that you have a solid foundation before you start here.
Well said. We
Yeah.
can't say it any different. We've
Well
say it
said.
over and over, but we needed to hear it from current students. So thank you
Yeah.
both.
Yeah, I totally agree. Current or prospective students will ask, so can I take organic chemistry too in place of biochem? And I still will say, to prepare you for medical school, you really need biochem. But
Yeah, we don't take organic chemistry here. We take biochem. So
Exactly.
Yep.
Exactly. Yeah. All right, remind me, ladies, did you only apply to SCNM or did you apply to the other schools as well?
So I actually was accepted to Bachelor before I started at SCNM, but because of family situations and whatever, I deferred that enrollment. And then after sitting on it for a couple of years, I decided that I wanted to apply to SCNM. So that was at that point the only school that I applied to.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, when I applied, I first went to SCNM, which is in Toronto, Canada, because we were living in Canada at that point. I went there and I'm like, nope, not for me. And then I applied to SCNM. And the second I set my foot in the campus and all the people that I met, I'm like, oh my gosh, I need to be here. So that was love at first sight for me. And I knew this is my school. So I didn't even look anywhere else.
Yay. Yay.
I have to say, I had the same feeling, and that was even after spending a year at Bachelor on their campus, and nothing against Bachelor at all. It's a great school with a great, amazing history. But I just felt like I was part of a family when I came to SCNM.
Mm-hmm.
Right away. The energy on this campus, the community, whether it's through Zoom or actually being here in person, I think we do have a very powerful family energy. Yeah.
Totally agree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's transition that a little bit. Like with that energy, right? You stepped onto campus. Oh, it was so warm and inviting. And then yank, sorry, we're going to throw you guys online. Like, how has that transition been? How have your classes been? Are you able to get together in person, or do you just spend a lot of time together on Zoom?
So because Hannah and I already knew each other very, very well, and we're very close. We actually wanted to be smart and mindful about COVID, and we didn't want to get anyone sick or get ourselves sick or whatever. So we both waited about a month, I think. Was it a month, Hannah, or 6 weeks?
Longer, probably longer.
Before we met with each other in person, because we both wanted to make sure that we were doing everything we needed to do to be safe. And then it was really isolated to just me and her. We did get together to study in person, but again, we both knew that the other person was taking all of the precautions, and I feel like we took a very safe and smart approach. So neither of us were like running around in public without masks on or meeting with other people or anything like that. We were both being extremely careful and mindful of each other's families and all of that. And I have to say too, I feel like the professors, most of the professors have really done their best to keep the learning environment good, despite being online. And our favorite, like probably everybody's favorite, Dr. Schmidt, really went above and beyond. For everyone listening, he's our physiology instructor, and he's amazing. You'll love him by the time you're done with him, because everybody does. But he took time in between quarters to do like practice class sessions with us, and really did everything he could to get to know the software and make sure that he was able to deliver a good education to us with us being online.
Yeah, for me, the online experience has been good. It made my life easier, especially in the beginning because I had children at home. And I kind of like it, but like my ideal learning environment is classes online, but then all the labs and practical in person.
Right.
Unfortunately, I got into that where all the labs were online. So I don't have those practical skills as good as Michelle, who was able to start right now in person, at least with the labs. But I'm catching up. And the school is making sure that we do have all the necessary skills that I needed before we graduate. So for me, I like it. It's not difficult for me, but I'm also very disciplined and structured. I do know my way of learning. So if I didn't feel like the lecture type was not working for me, I wouldn't attend the lecture. I would then maybe listen to the lecture afterwards, the recording, use a lot of additional sources. So it works for me. It also works because life is very unexpected for me with kids who have health issues. So like just organizing life in general was easier for me since we hit the online. But I have to say, like Michelle has been saying, that we had that luxury of or the chance to get to learn, get to know each other. And that was huge. So I don't know how those people who started online and never met anybody in person, how well they were able to bond and find friendships. But hopefully this hybrid model sticks if we still have to stay online. But don't be worried about the online platform. It works, especially the first couple of years. It's a lot of theory, so you're not missing out much.
Yeah, and especially with the labs being in person, like I get to see, both, like being online and then completely, and having to try to execute labs from a computer, which was challenging. It was challenging. And now we're doing the labs in person and it's so much better. It's really, to me, like if we stayed this way where we're doing lectures online and doing anything hands-on in person, I'd be okay with that, because also what Hannah was saying, like it does make it easier for me to balance my life. I live about between depending on traffic, 25 to 30 minutes away. And so honestly, if I'm not driving back and forth to campus, that's an hour a day that I can put into something else. So yeah, in a lot of ways, it's, if I can have dinner with my family and then, 5 minutes later, I can pop into a study group. I can attend a lecture, whatever. So it has worked really good as far as that goes.
It's excellent feedback. I
Yeah,
definitely see
no kidding.
the value in both ends, right? That
Right.
energy and that in-person connection is valuable, is important. Your networking, your camaraderie, this is your colleagues for life. There's a lot to be had there, but also this convenience factor, even on staff. Yeah, I agree. Definitely. I don't need the commute and I can still do an effective, tremendous job here. So great feedback.
Right.
And what I really appreciated both of you sharing so much about how much family is involved in your journey right now. We have a lot of candidates that this isn't their first career either, and their first degree, and they're constantly asking, how am I going to do this with my children? How am I going to do this with family? So I'm so happy to hear all this feedback. Thank you both. And yeah, we got another couple questions. Since COVID-19, have you had time to participate in campus outreach opportunities such as Naturopaths Without Borders or etc.? Are either of you involved in clubs?
I have made a choice not to join the clubs because it didn't feel like the same. And again, I have the comparison of being on campus the first 2 quarters and then being online. And so when we were on campus, I did attend some club events and stuff, and they were a lot of fun. They were great. I've attended a few online and it just doesn't feel the same, but I can see how somebody who doesn't have the online or the in-person experience wouldn't necessarily, if you don't have the two to compare, then maybe you wouldn't have the same feelings about it as I do. And then I want to do Naturopaths Without Borders, but right now, as far as I know, we're not doing it yet because still COVID.
Mm,
Yeah, for me, I have way too much on my plate. I, like Michelle, attended a couple clubs, went to their sessions. Um, so I was kind of postponing everything. I was going to sign up for Naturopaths Without Borders, but then COVID hit, and I have immunocompromised child at home, so I can't risk it much. So yeah, I didn't go, but I definitely want to and highly recommend. Everybody who went always love those trips, and that's a good if you don't have children and stuff, and you even if you have and you can balance it, definitely amazing experience. Highly recommend. Also clubs, people who attend actively love them, so that can be your mini family there as well, if you're far away from your original family.
right. I would say probably out of all the clubs that we have, and we have many, Naturopaths Without Borders is probably the most successful one where everybody wants to attend that one. Yeah. And we have students that ask about, should I join a club at the beginning? Should I not join a club? And I always say it's your preference, but your studies come first, so think of that when you're starting this program. And I'll even suggest maybe you should wait till maybe Q3 or farther along, your first year, to get a feel of how you need to study, what you need to do to get through the program, before joining a club. So they do, and I think I've heard this before, so you are able to go into a club and kind of listen to what they're saying without actually joining it, correct? Okay.
Yes. Yeah. And I agree completely. I think getting involved in a club, like actually joining it, being
Mhm.
part of the, like being the president or vice president or any of that for different clubs, for me personally, would have been too much in the beginning, because I was learning so much about me and how I needed to study for this, and how to balance my life. And
Right.
yeah, it would have been way too much.
Right. Yeah. Let's see, we have any more questions? What are the plans for classes in the fall? Are they going to be online, hybrid, or in person? That is the magic question right now that everybody wants to know. I'm thinking it's probably a hybrid like it is now, but we don't know. We don't know. We're hoping that announcement will come out soon. But our goal is that everybody is safe, and if we need to keep the classes online like they are now and gradually bring back labs, that's what we'll do. But hopefully we'll find out soon. But as you can see with these ladies, you are able to keep up with your courses being online and your labs being on campus, so it can be done.
Can I just add too that I really appreciate through all of this, through COVID, how much of a priority it has been to the school to keep us safe.
Mm-hmm.
I really
Absolutely.
do. Like, I know, some people are really itching to get back in person, and I think all of us are, to different degrees, feel the same way. Like we want the same thing, but ultimately the school has placed safety over everything, and safety of the students, safety of our patients, safety for everyone. And I really appreciate that.
Well, I appreciate that comment, Michelle. That means a lot to us, because we try to go above and beyond for our student safety and and staff safety. So
and their families.
Exactly.
Yeah, I wanted to add here, being flexible and like being able to adapt to situations is super important in your medical school career. This is also going to be your life as a doctor. Things happen, and you need to be able to adapt and adjust. So those of us who really took all these situations like it is what it is, we go with these cards, had the most success. And I feel like those who are really rigid and have a hard time accepting these weird circumstances struggle the most. So if you come with an open heart, open mind, and willingness and ability to adjust to these situations, you're going to do awesome.
I agree wholeheartedly. You definitely have to be able to accept things as they are and do your best within whatever the circumstances are.
I agree. I agree.
Well said. So eloquent too, like open, flexible, open heart, open mind. Everything you said, such good tips. Remind me, Hannah, so Q9, are you in clinical rotations now? Have you
Yes,
taken part one of your board exam? Okay. All right.
Yeah, I took my
Hey.
board exam this summer, which was fun.
Yeah.
And it wasn't as bad, but and then I started in the clinic this quarter. So I'm finishing up my first quarter in the clinic.
Yay.
So then this next question's for you.
All right.
Yeah.
How has COVID affected clinical rotations? So other than the safety, it's really, really important for us to make sure that our patients are safe with us. So we do have to wear masks, and then you have to either be vaccinated or you have to show a negative COVID test, I believe every 72 hours. And other than that, it's really not affecting. We have in-person, obviously, clinical rotations. Some patients prefer to have telehealth, so we will have both. But I've been able to do a lot of hands-on experience with my patients. And then, yeah.
How exciting.
That's great to hear. Like it almost
Yeah.
for a minute, obviously when COVID first, when we were all affected, we had to shut down things it all went to telemed, right? There was no in-person. So this is great to hear that we are definitely back to hands-on and in-person visits for our
Right.
patients. Is that the
Yeah.
same for the Neil Reardon Center? Do you have rotations there as well?
Yeah, it's same for everything. We have our community clinics are open and everything.
I shadowed a doctor this summer too, and same thing. Our clinic was open and we just followed all the safety protocols. So as far as I know, and same thing as Hannah said too, there was some telehealth too. But I don't think that's going to change. As long as we continue to be safe, I don't think that's going to change.
I think it's kind of neat
Fantastic.
now that we
Yeah.
offer that telehealth. We've never had
Yes.
that before.
Yes.
Agreed.
It's great.
Yes.
Michelle, I want to go back to something you just touched on. You shadowed this summer. Was that part of your field observation? Is that hours that you're putting towards your curriculum?
Yeah, so it started out as the field observation, and then I was able to continue with the same doctor. Just because I had the spare time. I was still part-time at that point. So I haven't been able to do it this quarter because I'm full-time and I don't have the spare time to do that. But over the summer, I got in a lot of time with the doctor who I originally started with field observation. And that was an awesome experience. It really helped me connect with and remember why I'm here and what I'm so excited about doing.
Awesome. Fantastic.
I think that's pretty neat that it's also built into your curriculum, like that constant networking, that career development, whatever you're learning or connecting, networking, all of it. So
Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I mean, you've offered so many tips. I'm looking through the list of questions. You know, the best
Yeah.
one is always, what advice would you give to a student that's getting ready to start this program? You've said so much amazing information, but still, what else can you throw out there for us? Give us some more cookies.
What advice, ladies?
So study tips, what worked for me and Michelle, watching a lot of videos that worked for us. We are both not heavy readers. So, and also it helps to hear from other people explain the same topic from different point of view. So, and then you can do that when you're half brain dead or you're eating your dinner, you can just watch a quick video on the topic. That was super helpful, especially the first year. Anatomy was a big one for us that we watched videos on, biochemistry.
Physiology.
Yeah, I love physiology. What else?
Here's another question from our guest. What kind of questions and how did you prepare for your interview? Think back.
Oh my
So I
goodness.
Remember
think-
your interview, ladies?
Well, I do. And I think that I don't think I really did anything to prepare for it, but I had worked as a counselor since 2007. So I'd interviewed for jobs and I was a military spouse. So I had a lot of jobs in my past. So I had a good amount of interviews experience before coming to SCNM for interview day. So look, I don't know if you can really prepare for it. I would say the biggest thing to prepare for is be ready to talk about what draws you to naturopathic medicine, your why. Like,
Why,
be prepared to talk
exactly.
about your why.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Good point. We want to see your passion, or they want to see your passion. Why? Why do you want to do this? You know? Yep.
Yeah, I remember my interview came quickly. I sent in my application, and I think within 24 hours, Jody sent me an email. You want to come to an interview? And I think within a couple of days, the whole family was in the airplane. So I didn't have time to really prepare. But I also wanted to go again, open mind, open heart, just show up as me. Don't try to be somebody
Yeah.
else. You don't have to impress anybody. They want to see who you are. You will be actually, it was super fun the day. The questions were very challenging, not because technicality, but it challenged me to think about me and like what my preferences are, or what would I do in certain situations. So it was really fun. So you don't have to study, you don't have to prepare, just show up as yourself, obviously professional, but just be you. They will see your passion and excitement, and that's all they need. Like, do you have the drive? They're not there necessarily to scrutinize you. And do you have all the skills in biochemistry? That's not important, but can you get through this? So
Yeah.
I think I want to add too that I felt like everyone that I interacted with on interview day wanted me to be here. I feel like, they wanted to make me feel at home and like this could be my family. And therefore it wasn't intimidating. I think when you take the mindset that they want you to be here, they want you to be part of this family, then it's easier to show who you really are.
And use the day as an opportunity to see if this is for you too. Ask questions. Is this something that resonates with you? If this is something you want to do, it goes both ways. So it's not just for the SCNM to see who you are, but also for you to see what SCNM is about.
Absolutely. Well said. Well said.
Yeah. Hannah, did you think of anything that you wish you knew before starting at SCNM?
I wish, I don't know, I don't have really good solid ones, but I wish I knew that I have it in me, because there was so much self-doubt before and worry. And then I wish I knew also something that I had to learn is to ask help, because that's hard. So
Good one. Good one.
Michelle all the time, like she knows, and like, so I wish I knew how important it is to just be able to ask help.
And Hannah wasn't alone. I think a lot of us that come here are very high achievers before we even get here. And so we're very used to doing everything for ourselves and going above and beyond, like breaking our neck to do our best. And it is a lesson to learn when you get here that you ask for help because you should, because it's available and people want to help you, and it's really good.
Totally agree. And Jane and I say this over and over and over to our students. You've got to ask for help if you feel like you're starting to drown. You don't want to get below water and start drowning. And you got to ask when. And
we all do it. We all do it.
I know.
None of us make it to the end without getting help.
Right.
Yep. It's that self-awareness. You're the only one that really knows, right? We can't read your mind until we see a test score. Then it's too late.
Yeah.
I actually have a friend right now who she didn't, in one of our classes, she didn't do well on the midterm this quarter, and she's concerned about the final. And she reached out to the professor, and he's doing a Zoom meeting with her and helping her know exactly how to prepare for the final exam. Like these
Perfect.
teachers, some of these teachers are amazing and they want to help.
Yeah.
Good.
They want you to succeed, that's for sure.
We all do. This
Yes, we all
truly,
do.
you're surrounded by like-minded. We all have a common goal here. I'm not a doctor, but I want to support this community as much as possible. So
Absolutely.
mhm. Success. You guys, it's already 6 o'clock. This hour went so fast. Like this is, I'm going to bookmark this recording and make sure that people watch this, because you guys such great information today, such great tidbits, and just a true insight of, I mean, Hannah, you finished it right there, just finishing with confidence, right? Like knowing that I can do it. Like that was well said. I mean, you
Yeah.
guys, I can't thank you enough. Like this hour went way too fast. Thank you both so much for everything you gave us this evening.
Yes.
Oh,
Thank you to the
thank
two of you.
So good to see both of you.
You too. I miss you guys.
I
I
know.
And the new students, welcome to the family. You're gonna love it.
Welcome.
All right, ladies, have a good night. Have a great
You
holiday.
too.
Bye,
Happy
everybody. Happy
holidays.
Happy
holidays.
holidays.
Happy holidays, guys.
Two to go, and they're gone.